Hey, here we are. I didn't get to do my stream the other night like I had scheduled. I logged in and then I got a phone call, so I just bailed on it. I got my cup of tea. Welcome. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to structure the shows, and I think I'll reserve this channel for whatever I want to talk about. And then as I get into my studies, uh, I'm going to start covering these topics on another channel that I'm starting up. So that should be cool. A nice way to break out from just my thoughts and then more structured presentations of books like my newest acquisition, Daryl Hamamoto. I know that a few of my friends are into him, and I've been trying to catch up on his older content. Um, and so I bought his book. I've also been looking at some of the other books that he's been reading and suggesting, and I can't keep up with all of it, but I thought I'd still follow his lead and um, start reading. As he says, fiction is real as real. So um, I I've been really getting into fiction, and one of the books we discussed, Virtual War by Gloria Skurzinski, um, I got this is book 3 and 4 in the series combined. It was, and this is crazy. It's called After War: Kill or Be Killed. So Gloria wasn't messing around. And then also, I just finished another Orson Scott Card book called Lost Boys. I didn't actually find a copy of Ender's Game, nor did I even listen to the whole audiobook. Instead, I found this in my stacks, and I actually read it pretty quickly. And I don't know, Lost Boys, I didn't know what I was getting into, but it was kind of a tearjerker. And I won't talk too much about it right now, but I was glad that I read some nonfiction this week as well as some fiction. And, you know, I can still feel a lot of feelings. Like, I know when a story is setting me up to cry, I know it's coming, I can anticipate it. And it still wrenches me, anyways. And I actually like that. I mean, I think it's important to who we are as humans is to grieve, and we've been grieving our dog the last month, and it's been really hard, but I don't know, I feel like she's got a presence here still, and yeah, it's our family dynamics have definitely changed. So we talk about her, especially my young kids. They talk about her, and I think that's really important as well. I do believe death is a part of life, and there is an obsession in the human mind with the morbid, and the true crime phenomenon is the perfect example of that. So where I find myself getting sucked into all the doom and gloom of the day, I have to purposefully turn that crap off and go outside and play and not think about all the doom and gloom of the day. But yeah, I'm an interested person, so I always find myself going back to it, and I think the things that ground us are as simple as, creating ritual with a cup of tea, with a moment of silence for yourself. Just about an hour ago, I looked out the window while the sun was going down, just got myself to relax and not listen to anything else. And I think that's part of my healing. I can tell that I'm getting better because I'm not losing my patience as often. Or if I lose my patience, I can immediately say, hey, I'm sorry I was being a jerk. That really wasn't fair. And yeah, I didn't get any sleep last night, but that's not really a good excuse. So, I mean, that's just learning for me how to become accountable with my uh, family, accountable to my family about my emotions and all of that. But like, it's nice. They've been supporting me doing these videos, and I said, hey, I'm going to do a stream. So everybody got quiet, and um, I made myself a cup of tea, closed myself in my room, and got to get into it. So it's nice to have the support of family and to have the confidence. And it is confidence. It sounds silly. They're your family, but you have to be able to ask for some boundaries, and you have to be able to ask for what you need. And that's something I'm learning, is not becoming like this martyr of, oh, I never get anything good for myself, when I get plenty, and I just need to communicate better in order to get what I need. So today I asked my neighbors for their bagged up lawn cleanup because I want to compost it. And I know they look at my side of the fence and they think it's pretty messy, and it is, but we're always working on it. It's always changing. Um, I'm working really hard on my perimeters, all the fence lines, and I cleared out a huge space today. And it was breaking my heart to see them just bag up great organic material. So I asked for it and I got it. So, it's the little things. And as I want to be prepared for the future, for the unknown, I also can't stress too much about it. You know, you got to find that harmony there, I guess. So that's pretty much my standard message. But yeah, Lost Boys, this is a tearjerker. It's not really a sci-fi story, but it does kind of go into some interesting themes. Talks about computers in the early 1980s. So that's interesting just in terms of setting and getting context for history. So talking about games like the Atari, the Commodore 64, the IBM PC, um, the transition from those technologies. So that was interesting, that Orson Scott Card talks about that. And then there's also a little bit of some of his point of view from the Mormon Church. Um, he is a Mormon, so he talks about his characters are Mormons, and that was enlightening because these are the people that live around me. So as best as I can, I want to be able to respect individuals for their various faith. Um, I think that's important. And then it gets a little bit haunting, I'll just say, and then we'll leave it at that. But I don't want to spoil any of the books really that I read. Maybe sometimes I will, but my intention is to leave enough of the meat so that you might enjoy the story for yourself. So that's Lost Boys by Orson Scott Card. Might be kind of obscure to find. It's been floating on my bookshelf for a long time. I probably got it at some library sale, but I'm glad I read it. I'm going to start reading all of my books. and maybe I won't finish them, but I am going to start. So still waiting on the rest of the Virtual War series. So I'll be getting into that. And then my nonfiction, Servitors of Empire, Studies in the Dark Side of Asian America. So I don't know that this is all that easy to read through. But it's an interesting reference, I suppose, because each chapter talks about a particular like time setting, I suppose. I'm not that too far into it. But the problem for me with books like this is, okay, like this, for example, that's great. That's a good start, talking about one person. But with all of this subject matter, it's just like a spider web. So I don't have a very firm grasp on a whole lot of things yet, but I want to challenge myself to follow these teachers and to learn about history from a different perspective. And I have read some interesting alt history. I've read some books that are referenced here, like Michael Rupert's Crossing the Rubicon and Griffin's Creature from Jekyll Island. So I'm going to dive back into those subjects and just challenge myself to swim in the rough waters and hope I don't completely drown. I can always come up for air and read children's fiction like the Chronicles of Narnia that I'm reading with my kid. Also reading a child's detective series, and I'll be talking more about that later. But I'm really getting into the idea of mysteries and these detective stories as told through different perspectives. So there's the mysteries for girls, mysteries for boys, the teenage genre. There was all those other kinds of books, the R.L. Stine books, which were really weird. And then he had books for teenagers as well. Of course, there's the Scary Stories series, and those are adapted from old, long time told folklore stories from around the world. So I'm going to be backtracking all of these stories, like the old folk tales from other countries from about the turn of the 18th, 19th hundreds, and just start working myself back through the narrative of fiction as it correlates to history. As I was thinking that would be really interesting to read books that would have been on the shelves of my grandparents or my great grandparents. And as teaching myself, learning myself more about the eras in which my recent ancestors were living. But I really want to dig into the ancient mythology as well. So I found a copy from college of Lysistrata, which is a Greek play. So I think that's a great little intro to the subject matter that my other channel is going to talk about. So we'll be covering some of these books and stories more in depth over there. In the meantime, here on this channel, I'd still like to just chat and get these thoughts out. So we'll see how that actually goes. I do need to get a real kind of studio set up, a real computer, microphone, camera, do some production value. But for now, at least my brain is turning. I think it's going in the right direction. And I'm just so excited that I'm finally building up the confidence to get myself out there. So I have had some serious reservations about being out here in a public forum, but I realize I am kind of anonymous because I haven't been telling anybody about these. Nobody in my real life um, has asked too much about it. And so I've been keeping it low key with just a few folks in my most inner circle. And yeah, it's just, again, it's been a nice little journey and I'm excited to continue it. I've been thinking a lot about, how you always have to go back and forth with the darkness and the light. And it can be so hard sometimes to go with the flow because we do rely so heavily on routine. And it's part of the effect of shock and awe is what it nets is the stunned deer standing there, right? I mean, you you can create an easy target. Um so I'm just trying not to stress too much about everything, even though I know this is a hugely stressful time for all of us, for any of us. And I would say, especially to people that would critique me, um, that is totally fine and valid. You probably have nothing to say that I haven't told myself for years. And I'll tell you what, the self hatred thing, like the people that project hate, like I've always thought like it's not my job to hate myself because you do. But I'll tell you, like, I've hated myself. And that's not a good way to discover who you really are because then you're just forcing yourself to try and be something that you're really not. Um and that's not to say we shouldn't have standards of improving ourselves and accountability. So I think that's the journey. Like a lot of times my thought process isn't linear. And I think that's because life, as much as it seems that time is linear, our cycles that we go through, there's always ups and downs. So it's in a linear momentum, but you're not always in the same place at the same time. And it can be as simple as, how are you nourishing yourself? And that includes sleep. So you can improve your odds of setting yourself up for a better foundation if you honor certain rituals, like the act of getting yourself to rest. And I think that's why, the whole act of parents tucking their kids in, getting the child ready for sleep. Like for me, I never could fall asleep once my folks left. I was like wide awake in the dark. So because I have these memories of that, I always take the extra time if they don't just fall asleep on their own. I always take the extra time to sit next to the kids, lay next to the kids till they actually fall asleep so I can turn their nightlight off. And I think it helps them. I think it helps them sleep. Now, I'm trying to get myself on a better routine so that I'm going to bed early because I like to stay up late once everybody goes to sleep and it's finally quiet and I don't have to serve anyone. But that's not doing me very well either, as I've been pretty grouchy in the mornings when it comes. So yeah, I'm trying to figure all this crap out. Thanks for listening to me. I hope that you're well. I hope that you can stay sane through all this. And if you can just remember the little things that brought you joy, even if they are not the same anymore, if you have to substitute an ingredient or if you have to modify the plans a little bit, at least try and honor something from your past that's brought you joy, especially when you're feeling down. And for me, I was feeling pretty sorry for myself for a while. And the thing that's been getting me out of that is just taking a look at everything that I have and being really grateful for the lessons, especially the hard ones. Um, I've had a lot of my worldview shattered, and it's not easy. It's not easy when people like Professor Hamamoto tell you about it's like they break everything that you used to love. And I don't think he's actually doing that, but I think it's like you have to go through the process of getting your heroes knocked down and having your heart broken and then try and come back around to like, okay, but I still have appreciation for the gift they were trying to offer. Because it's not all as simple as like it's all everything's corrupt, nothing is true. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just figuring all these different terminologies out, trying to digest it all, but thinking about concepts like the cosmic blanket and the divine matrix and how um, it seems like there's this wrinkle or this tear in reality. Like, how can all this bad shit be happening at once? You know, and I get so stuck in that garbage sometimes and realize that sometimes you just got to smile at yourself in the mirror even when you don't feel like it. And you got to commit yourself to doing something that you're scared of doing, something that's challenging. And so this is definitely a challenge for me, but I'm appreciating where it's taking me. Um, so I think I'll schedule another talk in a few days and maybe we'll have some good news. Maybe it's all going to continue being terrible news, but I saw my first um, flowers in the garden bloom today, the snowdrops. So I think that was a really good sign. And there's some weather coming in. For us, it'll be pretty mild, but some folks are going to have some extreme weather. Um, of course, there's all the other junk going around the world. So um, I just wish everybody peace in their heart and mind and hang in there. Love you.